YouTube, what is going on? We're back with another Wuthering Waves video, and so I actually got a little dressed up. We're here to talk about my wife. We're here to talk about my wife, YinLin. So, I got a little dressed up. I got to show out for my baby moms. So I wanted to go over the main thing of being, should you roll YinLin? And if you're rolling for YinLin, should you skip JIyan? Now, the answer is not a simple straight yes or no. And we're going to break down JIyan's kid, who is already in the game. And then obviously we have YinLin from CBT2. Now, things could be subject to change. But the main thing is JIyan is a main DPS. So JIyan right now is the highest damage dealer in the game, period. There's nobody who's going to touch him. You could get close with someone like Kalkaro from the standard, but JIyan is objectively has the highest numbers. And then also, especially now, clearly, if you run with his main broadsword, which does work with Kalkaro as well, it does give crit damage. So moving over right now, it says 10.8 crit damage. Obviously, that's at base. And then increase the damage bonus of all resonance attributes by 12%, which is pretty cracked. You're getting your increase skill as well as your ult. And every time intro skill or resonance liberation is cast, increases heavy attack damage by 24%, stacking up to 2 times. When you use JIyan, his burst converts all of his attacks to heavy attack energy. So although you're normal attacking, it is considered heavy attack. So with JIyan, this is obviously his best in slot. And to be very transparent with you, a lot of the other broadswords are pretty mid at the moment. We don't really have a great selection of broadswords currently. So even with JIyan and Kalkaro, the selection isn't the widest. You know what I'm saying? Clearly, this weapon will be the best. And then obviously you have the 5-star selector where, again, it's still not the greatest weapon ever. So keep that in mind if you are going for JIyan. JIyan could work with like a craftable weapon or the battle pass weapon or whatnot. But if you're going for him, I would definitely try to recommend going for that weapon as well, because that is a massive increase. And I would say go for the weapon as opposed to the cons. One thing I also do want to showcase with JIyan, since he is in the game again, right now we can't show off YinLin. Not only does JIyan have massive damage, but he can also CC everyone himself. So it's not necessarily required to have a CCer like, let's say, Zhanshin or Yang. We'll get to teams in a moment, but those could obviously help. But his CC is pretty massive. So if we look at this right now, so we're gonna get the Forte circuit. Another thing is his gameplay is just very straightforward. He's go in, punch, beat him up, get your Forte circuit. You can use your Forte circuit on either the following. Now that I have that half charge, I can use my E and it gives me an enhanced E, or you could use it on his ult. Now I recommend saving the Forte circuit fully for the ult, because watch this. This is going to be the burst. When the burst has at least 50% Forte circuit, it does that extra animation and it gives you more damage. Also, this is the CC I was talking about. He literally just spins them around and they suck up right into him. It doesn't get easier than that. But if I were to show you the ult without that Forte circuit up, it would look like this. So the ult without the Forte circuit, you don't do that additional damage on the floor, but again, you still CC everyone up. So gameplay wise, he's straightforward, his kit is simple, and it's easy damage. Again, all you got to worry about is trying to get some particles for him, because he is like Zhao in the sense where he is going to need energy. So, but he's very solid, very, very solid, and he's a great first character to go for, honestly. Like, you can't go bad with him. So let's get into the team comps a little bit. So this is not a bad team comp off rip, the one that they have here. I would do it a little bit differently, which I'll show you in a moment. But JIyan, Mortefi, and Baiji is very good. So when you have the ult with Mortefi, now, again, he is like a Pyro Zincho. Now, there's only going to, I'm not only doing my arrow damage, but you can see the damage numbers are Pyro as well. So you're getting those extra attacks, again, like a Pyro Zincho. And this is honestly a very good team because it's just more DPS on top of DPS. Also, with Baiji, you have the heals. So as a team comp, not only is this free-to-play friendly, but this is very, very good and helps quite a bit. So this is very solid. And it's pretty accessible because Baiji is free, and there's a high chance that you're going to get Mortefi on his banner as well, unless you get really unlucky. But, that can happen. So now, the next team that is as well very free-to-play friendly, everyone can get this team, is JIyan, Yang, and Baiji again. How does this team work? So JIyan's going to be the main DPS. Yang provides extra CC. Now, you don't necessarily need it because of the fact that JIyan CC with his ult is just crazy, and it works by just simply attacking. But you got to get to his ults first, right? Yang's outro skill provides particles for JIyan, which is going to help him a ton because, again, he's going to need it. He needs help to get it up. Pause. And Baiji is the healer in slot. You want to make sure no one's going to die. So this is very good. You could also replace Baiji with Zhanshin as well. because they do have the shielding. So it's not necessarily healing, but they can provide the shielding and even more CC. So this is like the ultimate suck team. I personally wouldn't use this, but it's possible if you don't want to use JIyan if you had JIyan. Now, in my opinion, the best team currently, as of now, from the footage I've seen, the testing I've seen and whatnot, it would be JIyan, Mortefi, and Verena. I don't have Verena right now, but you would put Verena here. JIyan's the main DPS. Mortefi's the great sub DPS where you're able to get those pyro attacks on top of the arrow. And then Verena not only heals your characters, but provides even more of an attack boost for JIyan, your main on-field. Now, what does JIyan scale off of? Surprise, surprise, it is going to be attack. How do we know that? Right here, there are no other substats here. Sidebar, I did drop a video breaking down all the tips and tricks and how to build your characters and whatnot in a big video. Go check that out. But so he scales off of attack, so that helps even more. So, but that's a really like 2 5-stars type of team. So not everyone's going to have that. I'm sure there are other team comps that could potentially work. But those are the main ones that I see. I rank the Verena team first. The second team would probably be the Mortefi with Baiji. And then the third team would be the one in the trial. Now, JIyan is not as flexible as YinLin. And let me explain this. YinLin is not in the game yet, clearly. However, we're going to go over her kit. The main thing from YinLin's kit that allows her to be such a big help and why people should roll for her, in my opinion, is she's, again, similar to Zinsho, where if you use her Resonator skill, her burst, all of those things together, she will have off-field DPS damage, and you swap to whoever it be, whether, you know, you're using Donjin, Kalkuro, whatever the case may be, and you get a ton of extra damage from that. But also, if we look at this, if we look at her outro skill, her outro skills would really set her apart from a lot of the characters in the game. So electro damage increased by 20%. So off rip, if you'd like Kalkuro or if you like Yanwu, if you'd like any other electro characters, this is a must pull for you because this will be a massive increase to your DPS for all characters, right? So her outro skill will give you 20%, but also your Resonance Liberation damage bonus is increased by 25% for 14 seconds. Your ultimate is getting a 25% buff for whoever is going on field. No ultimate is taking 14 seconds to do, my friend. That is ridiculous. So obviously she's great with Calchero, and her most likely best in slot team is going to be Calchero, Verena, and her. But you could even run it with JIyan, for example, if you wanted to, or someone like Donjin or whoever else your main DPS would be. Ling Yang, the list goes on. So who should you roll for? I think it really boils down to what characters you have and what you're interested in with. If you have Calchero and if you like him as a main DPS and you like the electro element in itself, I think YinLin is 100% worth it as opposed to JIyan because she could fill more spots. And again, the sub DPS, the outro skills, she's just more flexible. Her on-field time is not going to be really there the way JIyan's is. But if you don't have a main DPS, if your character list is looking really lackluster and you don't have a Kalkuro, you don't have a Donjin, you know, you don't really have anyone good that can really put out numbers the way you want them to, I think JIyan is very solid. And again, those free-to-play teams still work. You know, the Baiji Yang team is very good. So it really depends on what style fits you the most, but also what role you need to fill. Now, obviously, I don't know what YinLin's support weapon does yet, but I do believe that there are some good options for YinLin weapon-wise already. Yeah, so the weapon that really caught my eye for YinLin that is a 4-star is the variation. I don't know if this is a gacha weapon or if this is I don't think this is a craftable weapon. I'm not sure how we get this. I'll have to look into that. But one that I saw that, you know, this one seems pretty valid. When Resonant Skills release, restores conservative energy by 8%. This effect can be triggered 1 every 20 seconds. Why would this be very good? Because the fact that you need the conservative energy to swap out to on-field to someone else. So with using this, you're gaining more conservative energy. In that way, in order for you to really get that Resonance Liberation buff, but also your Electro buff if you're running Electro characters. So you get it faster. I think this is really good. And then obviously, as you level it up, it'll do more. Right, so again, YinLin is not in the game as of yet, so it's hard to say what would be their best team, right? In my mind, the ideal team is Kalkuro, Verena, YinLin, or you could run, if you have JIyan, you can run JIyan there instead. You can run Kalkuro, You can then run Yanwu as well, do like a little mono electro team with YinLin. So that way everyone's getting the buffs, and he's also doing some sort of sub DPS as well. He throws his little official Oz on the ground, and then that enhances everything as well. Who should you go for ultimately? If you need someone who's flexible, who can work with multiple teams, and you know JIyan might just not fit your playstyle, or you really like Kalkaro, really just like other DPSs, or want to make other characters DPSs, go YinLin. If you're not a fan of the electric playstyle, and you don't like Kalkaro, and you really feel like you just want someone to go in there and start heading through the content with already, go JIyan while he's here. With that being said, once we get more information, I can definitely make an updated guide, but that is how I'm looking at this. I obviously have JIyan right now, so I'm going to go for YinLin. Although I was bullying it into getting JIyan. I was saving for YinLin, but then the gotcha gods called me. So that being said, let me know what you think. I love you. Mwah. I'll see you in the next one.
Just calling my name. So come on, baby, let's stop.